Character is built. Not given, not blessed, not born with, not delivered divinely from God. It is built. And yet, people seem to have this warped illusion about where it comes from. I had a guy comment on one of my YouTube videos, and he was like, please don't do this. I respect people's character when it's built, when it's earned and it's honored and it's through wisdom, not from some dude speaking on a video. And I was like, totally agree. It is built. It is earned. But where the fuck do you think that comes from? Where do you think that decision to build it comes from? It's not that it's just divinely given to you, just bestowed upon you. Here you go. Here is your ready-built character, or who you were born as, and that's it. You were born with this character, that's the end of the story, that's you for life, never bother changing, never, bother to do anything to build it. Yeah, it's not just going to be given because you watched a video of me talking about it. The point is that it inspires change. The point is that it delivers you an opportunity to reflect on yourself and go, how could I be better? What could I do to build the character, to build the man that I want to be? Yeah, it doesn't happen like that. You're right. This guy was absolutely right. It is not going to happen by watching me. It happens by being inspired by that. And if you want the quickest path, then choosing to work with me and building that character one day at a time. It's built by choices made over and over and over again. And it doesn't happen instantly. In fact, it takes a shit ton of time. It takes way longer than people want to talk about. Because, well, you have ingrained who your character is. But your character isn't, as I said, it is not set in stone. It is a decision. It is a choice. It is something that you can choose to develop. We are not trees. We are not fixed. We are not stuck in place. We can make choices about who we want to be. We can make decisions about the life that we want to live. And then we go out and do those things. That's the separator. That's the thing. And yeah, you need to make a constant decision about it. That you won't wake up one day and be a different man. It's the 10,000 little choices made over and over and over and over again. And first you'll show yourself that you are the man of your word. First you'll show that yourself that you can follow through and be that man, have that character that you want to be. And then over time, your family will notice, those who are closest to you. And then over time, those in the next sphere, that bubble around you, will notice. And eventually it'll just become who you are. But that shit takes time. It takes effort. It takes consistency. It takes showing up over and over and over again. As I've said before, one of the ones that really hurt me was realizing that when I said something, my wife didn't believe me. And that's not a knock on her, that's a knock on me. Because for so long, I hadn't followed through. For so long, I hadn't actually been a man of my word. I would say shit, but words are meaningless. Actions speak louder than words. Actions are what define who you truly are. Anyone can say things. They can say they're going to do stuff. They can say they're going to follow through. They can say that they'll do it. Hell, they might even be doing it. But as we know, character is revealed in the harsh times, in the dark times, when your back's against the wall, when shit gets serious. That's when we truly find out who we are. When there is no other option. And that's why I always come back to working out. Because exercising, eating right, making the right choices, getting up and going to the gym, all that kind of stuff. You can do it when it's easy. When the motivation is high, when you're feeling great and things are going fantastically, it's really easy to do those things. But what about when it's tough? What about when you're exhausted? What about when you're stressed to the nines? What about when everything's counting against you? What do you do then? Who are you then? Do you follow through? Or do you say, oh, not today, I'll do it tomorrow? Oh, I'm a bit busy today, I'll pick it up tomorrow. Next week, Monday, next month, when this is done. That shows, A, your level of commitment, and B, who you truly are. Who you are in those moments that matter, when things are difficult. It's also part of why demanding greatness is every single fucking day. Every single day. Because it's really easy to kick it down a day or two. And look, on the grand spectrum of things, that won't really matter. But it starts to ingrain a habit in you. And it's such a slippery slope that I don't think most people have the skills, the discipline, the tenacity, the mental toughness to fuck around with that. Because it becomes this slippery slope of, oh, well, I'll kick it to tomorrow. Well, what if tomorrow is worse than today? Well, what if today is even more complex than yesterday? And you say you'll just keep kicking it down. How many days in a row do you kick it down until suddenly you're like, holy fuck, how did I get here? Because that was me. That was me before demanding greatness. Woke up one day and I was like, I'm 30 kilos overweight. I'm disgusted with the man in the mirror. I'm ashamed of who I am. I'm worried that I'm going to die before I get to see my kids fully grow up. All those kinds of things. But it didn't happen overnight. It didn't just happen one day. It wasn't one bad meal. It wasn't just one missed workout. It wasn't just one bad choice. It was the accumulation of months on months on months on months on months of doing that. And before that, which is how you get into the trap, is it was okay. And you start this slippery slope. I was still working out. I was still eating reasonably well. And then bit by bit, it disappeared. Bit by bit, it got worse. Bit by bit, I made the wrong choices. But that wrong choice didn't feel that wrong because the one before it was not too bad. It's how they get you to compromise on your character and your volume, on who you are, because each little encroachment on your character and who you are is this tiny little thing. And you tell yourself it doesn't really matter. It's not worth standing up for. It's not worth fighting for. It's not worth putting yourself out there for. And then it's a little bit more, and then it's a little bit more, and then it's a little bit more, and then suddenly you're so far beyond anything you thought you would ever find acceptable. And here you are. And you do that to yourself. And you justify it with all the shit that goes on because our society is fucked in that circumstance. If you choose not to drink, if you choose not to eat junk food, if you choose to look after yourself, if you choose to exercise every single day, you'll be called obsessed, you'll be called weird, you'll be called all the things under the sun. People will pressure you, people will talk down to you, people will think that it's wrong. You'll go to parties, you'll go out to places, and people will judge you. Why is choosing the best version of yourself worth judging? Why is choosing to look after your health and fitness the point that you get judged for? Because it's easier to choose the other path. It's how they encroach on you. It's how they take it one step at a time. One bit at a time until suddenly you've lost who you thought you were. You've lost your character and your morals and your values on it. This applies to everything, but as I said, you'll do it to yourself with your health and fitness. You want to fit in. What's some cheeky beers with the boys, or a couple of glasses of wines on the weekend, or having a pizza, or all these kinds of things. These small, little, insignificant steps that encroach on your character until they just become the normal. As I said, that was me. And that was the height of hypocrisy, because I was still a trainer. I was still running my gym. I was still teaching people how to transform their own lives. And being that douche monkey, to be honest, who says, do as I say, not as I do. We all know that's never going to work. It's the same with children. Do as I say, not as I do. No, they're going to absorb who you are as a person. They're going to absorb your morals and your character. But character is built by decisions. It's a choice. And it's a choice where you draw the line. It's a choice where you set the standard. It's a choice to be woken up and being like, I don't like who I have become. And I want to demand more of myself. That's why it's demanding greatness. To demand more of yourself, because you know you are capable of more, you are worth more, and you should give more. And you're drawing that line in the sand of saying, this is who I am. And then you have to keep standing firm on that line over and over and over again. It's the one I always come back to. The tree falls the way it leans. It's not that one massive decision that made you this way. It was making the same decision over and over and over again. Every time you were presented with a situation, every time you were faced with a challenge, every time something came up, you made the decision that you go, this is who I am. And you can even start asking that question of yourself. Would the strongest, healthiest, fittest version of me make this decision? Would they choose this? Yes, no. And you just keep making that decision. And as I've discussed before, I think the simplest way, not the easiest, the simplest way to get yourself into that situation is to make it a zero-choice mentality. People want to give themselves flexibility. They want to give themselves option. They want to give themselves all these things. I think it's actually the other way. I firmly believe that discipline is freedom, because you remove the options. If there is no leeway, if there is nothing there, you don't have to have the negotiation with yourself. You don't have to instill, iron level willpower. You just go, I don't do this. Period. End of story. Full stop. No questions asked. I don't do it. It's much simpler than being like, well, on Fridays I'm allowed to have these types of foods as long as I don't exceed these levels, or, if it fits my macros, so as long as I don't have too much fat, I can then have my wine and ice cream, but then I've got to have weird things on the other end. You see how it becomes this thing, and then you can start having other negotiations with yourself. Then you can start having these discussions about whether it's okay. Oh, what would it matter today? What difference does it make if I just have this small thing? And you start encroaching on your values. But you're right. Me telling you this isn't going to change your character. Me saying this thing and you watching this video, and even if you're agreeing with me wholeheartedly, isn't going to change your character. It isn't going to change who you are. It isn't going to change who you are in the darkest moments when nobody's watching. But if it triggers that decision that you want more out of your life, that you want to be better, that you want to do better, you want to make better choices, then it's done its job. Character isn't what you are born with, it's a decision. And it's one that you have to keep making. Same as discipline. Discipline isn't something we are born with, it's a decision made every single day. It's a choice that we show up with, and it's one that we have to keep making, because it's also one that can be eroded by not making the right decisions, by letting all those little choices build up. Discipline can disappear just like that. It's been one of those things that I have prided myself on, that I am a disciplined man, that I am a strong man, that I do the shit I say I'm going to do. And yet if we go back to the start of Demanding Greatness, 480 odd days ago, I was very evidently not that guy. I was not that man. I had let all those micro decisions encroach on who I was, encroach on my values and my character until it was eaten away. I was a shell of the man I wanted to be, of the man I knew I could be, because we kept making these decisions. I kept letting what was easier, what was more enjoyable, what was nicer, what was kinder to me dictate what I wanted. I didn't make the hard choices. I let feelings and emotions dictate what I would do. I don't really feel like it today. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. As I've discussed before, I had reasonable excuses. They're still fucking excuses. Yeah, most of the population would understand them. They would be like, it's fine. Don't do that today. Have a day off. Have a rest day. But it's still an excuse as to not take the actions that you know will deliver the life that you want, deliver the outcomes that you want. So you have to keep making those choices. You have to keep showing up. You have to keep delivering on these things every single day. And that's what will separate you. So no, me talking into this camera, giving you advice, is not what's going to create your character. But if it can be the trigger point, if it can be that initial spark that goes, I am no longer happy with who I am as a man, and I want to be better, I want to do better, I want to deliver better for my family, then fantastic. Then it has done its job. And you can do this on your own. Absolutely. You can start making those decisions for yourself. You just have to make that decision over and over and over again. But if you aren't sure what that looks like, if you aren't sure how to start building the discipline, the focus, becoming a man of your word, instilling the zero choice mentality, then don't stay floundering. Get some help, get some assistance, join Demanding Greatness. I've built the blueprint. I did it myself. And in fact, I live it every single day. And then I've just given you the shortcut to it. I've accelerated the process. As I said in a couple of videos the other day, it took me 480 days to really work this out, to really get into the point that I was happy with. I got more results in the last 6 weeks than in the previous 6 months. Now you'll get those results in the first 6 weeks than having to go through all those things. Every time I give this to someone, I tweak it, it gets better. Because this is an ever-evolving organism. And that's what it's after. And that's how you can get the best results. So if you're ready to build your character, if you're not willing to just sit on the sideline and be like, yeah, he's right, and you actually want to get into the trenches and do something about it, click the link in my bio or shoot me a message. Let's get you into Demanding Greatness and let's make it a fucking reality. Can't wait to see you there.